Somebody needs to hear this right now. You are not alone. We are all one. We are connected in ways that we really don't even understand. I know you're going through some things right now. Very hard, difficult things. I know you're experiencing some relationship issues that seem insurmountable. I know you've been questioning your place in this world. You've been questioning if you're doing it all wrong. I'm here to tell you that you're not. You need to hear this right now. This message is for you. We are all in this world together. We all decided to incarnate at this specific time to be alive right now on this earth. And believe it or not, everything is going according to plan. I know it doesn't seem like it. I know sometimes you feel like you're just lost, that you've stumbled off the path, but you haven't. You are exactly where you're supposed to be, and you are experiencing the exact things you are supposed to be experiencing. It is, in fact, all part of the plan. And you need to know that you are not alone. There is a interesting little scripture in the Bible in 1 Peter chapter 5. And it says, "The same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren throughout the world." And what this means is that everything you're dealing with, everyone else is also dealing with. So we're not alone. I know sometimes it seems like we are. Sometimes you feel isolated. Like, why is this happening to me? So and so seems like they have a great relationship and they don't have any problems. But it's simply not true. Because the same things that you're dealing with, I'm dealing with. Everyone is dealing with. And here's a little secret. Even the greatest spiritual teachers, authors of amazing spiritual and self-help books, are going through the same things you are going through. If you believe the Bible, as I do, I am not what you would call a, Bible thumper or anything like that. But I do believe the Bible is a book of wisdom. And I believe a lot of what's in there is true. And I know that we all are connected. And this verse here in 1 Peter chapter 5 is very comforting. Sometimes we just need to remind ourselves that we all are going through the same thing. You see, it's hard to get caught up in this game of life. And because we are all wearing different costumes, we all look different, we all have different personalities, it seems like we're all separate because we look different and maybe we act different. We live in different places and it seems like we're leading completely different lives, but we're not. We are not separate. We're all in this together and we are all connected as one. And it's funny, If you look up the definition of the word nature in the dictionary, it actually says that it's something separate from ourselves. But nothing could be further from the truth. We are all one, and we are not separate. You are not separate from God. You, in fact, are God. You are nature. This is your home. This is your place. And it's all connected. And if you want to dive into the science of it, feel free to do so. I'm not really geared that way. But science is even now proving that we all are, in fact, connected. And that everything is one. You can look up, quantum entanglement and see how we're all connected. It's really, really true. But because of these separate identities that we take on, these roles that we play, it makes us feel separate from each other. And then you start to feel like isolation. When you're going through a tough time, it can get dark. And, your mind tries to rationalize what's going on. And that can lead to more confusion sometimes. But the fact is, you're not alone. Everything you're going through is the same thing we're all going through. And I just want you to know that. I know things can get hard. And I know you are on a spiritual path. And a lot of times we think if we're on this spiritual path, everything's going to be wine and roses. Everything's just going to be great. But it's not. At the high level, yes, everything is going according to plan. But as we're in these separate identities, we tend to think that we're unique and that we're somehow different from everyone else. But we're not. And there's this idea that can creep in, like when you're making spiritual progress, you spend a lot of time in meditation and you can feel you're expanding your consciousness and you're making a lot of progress. You're making a lot of headway and you're getting revelations and you're remembering who you really are and you're learning new things about yourself and the universe and you're growing spiritually. And I'm here to tell you that sometimes your outside world, this physical reality, sometimes it doesn't match up with the progress that you're making spiritually. But I'm telling you, you are ascending, you are growing, you are becoming stronger, you are deepening your connection with yourself, but things can still happen in this physical reality that don't necessarily line up with the progress you're making spiritually. Or so it seems. As I said, at the high level, yes, everything is going according to plan. But we tend to think like if we're, spending all this time in meditation and we're working on ourselves and we're going within and we're doing the work, that everything in our physical world should just immediately line up. But it doesn't always happen that way. Some people present it like that, like your outside world is a reflection of your inner world. And at one level, yes, that is true. But sometimes it doesn't seem like it. At the high level, yes, everything is working out exactly the way it should. But sometimes what we see with our eyes and what we feel in our physical reality doesn't necessarily line up exactly with the progress we're making spiritually. It just doesn't look like it is, but it is. You see, when you begin to expand your consciousness and you begin to grow spiritually, sometimes in this physical world, things kind of crumble around us. And it's hard to understand that because what we're seeing with our physical eyes is not what we're seeing with our spiritual eyes. And that's normal. Sometimes things have to be torn down so that they can be built up new. Old things have to pass away. And as you're making progress spiritually and you're growing and you're learning new things about yourself, the old things have to pass away at some point because you can't keep living the same life and still be growing spiritually. You can't take all the baggage with you to the new level of consciousness that you're headed towards. It's just the way it works. So you can almost take it as like confirmation. When you know you're doing the right thing spiritually and you're growing and you're expanding, sometimes it'll look like your world's falling apart. But that's just part of the rebuilding process. You know, we see this in this world all the time. I'm sure there's buildings in your city that you've seen be torn down. But why do they do that? They do that because they're going to build a new building. And if a new building is going to be built, the old building has to go. So that's what happens with us as well. As above, so below. As within, so without. But there's that moment. There's that moment when you've reached a new level spiritually. And it looks like everything is crumbling around you. It looks like you're going to a lower level physically, but you're not. It's just the old building being removed because a new one has to be built. And so that's what I want you to know. There's that moment where it doesn't, your physical reality doesn't exactly reflect what's going on spiritually. And the only reason that happens is because of our eyes, these five senses that we have, how we experience the world. We see and feel things crumbling around us. And we think, oh my God, what is going on? Maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe all this meditation and all this spiritual work is just worthless. Maybe there's nothing to it. Maybe it's just a joke. But it's not. The tearing down is part of the process of building up. And that's just how this game works. So what you can do is realize right now that you're not alone. The same things you're going through, the same things that are being torn down in your life, these same things are being torn down in everyone else's life. Because we're all one. And when you make progress, when you can see that, when you can see that the reason why things are crumbling and actually being destroyed in your life is so that something new can take its place, a new structure can be built, a newer, more vibrant, more successful structure can be built. When you can see it like that, it helps all of us that are going through the same thing be able to see it like that. When you make progress, I make progress. And when I make progress, you make progress. Because the same afflictions are accomplished in everyone in the world. We all go through this. So just don't get depressed and saddened and discouraged when things begin to crumble around you. It's not forever. It's just simply part of the building process. Out with the old, in with the new. So don't get caught up in that first part of it. Don't get caught up in the out with the old and think that everything is just being destroyed. Because there's something much bigger at work here. Keep meditating. Keep working on yourself. Keep growing. And don't be afraid when things fall apart. It's just for a moment. It's just for a moment. And something new is going to be built. There's another scripture that comes to mind. We walk by faith and not by sight. Faith in the universe. Faith in yourself. Faith in the oneness of us all. You're not alone, and something new is being built in your life. So let it crumble. Let it crumble. And you'll experience some emotions as it's happening. But they're temporary. Just don't get stuck in the tearing down process. Have faith that something new is being built. You're doing the right thing. You are on the right path. And you are exactly where you need to be. We're all in this together. Please subscribe to this channel if you like content like this. The idea for this channel is to build a spiritual community of oneness where we can come together and express that oneness. A place where when we start to feel isolated, when we start to feel like the world is crumbling around us, we can come here and be reminded that it's all good. Because it is. You are doing great. Keep going. Keep growing. You're on the right path.